Princess Carolyn had lived her entire life surrounded by guards. From the moment she was born, warriors of the Royal Sentinel Corps had stood watch over her, trained from childhood, sworn to die before allowing harm to reach the royal family. They were the finest soldiers in the Azurian Empire, each one a master of combat, selected from thousands of candidates and enhanced with the best technology credits could buy. So when her mother, Queen Shuravel, insisted on hiring a human as her personal bodyguard, Kyra had been furious. "A human?" she'd protested, her navy blue skin flushing darker with indignation. "Mother, they've been part of the galactic community for barely 2 decades. What could one possibly know about protecting royalty?" "More than you might think," the Queen had replied calmly. "I've seen their combat records. Humans have something our people lack: unpredictability, creativity in crisis. And this one comes highly recommended." That conversation had been 6 months ago. Now Kyra stood in the palace training yard, watching her new bodyguard spar with 3 of the royal sentinels simultaneously. Lieutenant Marcus Drake moved like water, fluid, adaptive, seemingly everywhere at once. He wasn't as strong as the Azurians, nor as fast. Their species had evolved under higher gravity, giving them denser muscle mass and quicker reflexes. By every measurable standard, he should have been overwhelmed in seconds. Yet he was winning. He used their strength against them, redirecting strikes rather than blocking them. When they relied on speed, he anticipated their patterns and was already moving before they struck. And when they tried to surround him, he somehow always managed to reposition so they got in each other's way. The match ended with all 3 sentinels on the ground and Marcus barely winded, offering his hand to help them up. Kyra's personal guard captain, Velthar, stood beside her, his expression unreadable. "He fights, strangely," the captain admitted, "but effectively." "He got lucky," Kyra muttered, though even she didn't quite believe it. Marcus noticed them watching and approached, giving a casual nod. He was tall for a human, with dark hair, sharp green eyes, and the kind of relaxed confidence that seemed entirely at odds with his profession. Where Azurian guards stood at rigid attention, Marcus leaned against the training yard fence like he was chatting with friends. "Your Highness," he said. "Captain." "Lieutenant Drake," Velthar responded formally. "The princess wishes to inspect the security arrangements for tomorrow's festival." Marcus straightened slightly. "Right, the Festival of Lights. Public appearance in the capital square, approximately 4 hours of exposure, crowd size estimated at 50,000. I've reviewed the security plan." "It's thorough. Is it adequate?" Kyra asked coolly. "For a conventional threat, absolutely. Captain Velthar runs a tight operation." Marcus glanced at the captain with genuine respect. "But if I were planning an assassination attempt, I wouldn't try anything conventional." Velthar's crest flared slightly, an Azurian sign of interest. "Explain." "Your guards are positioned to counter direct attacks, snipers, bomb threats, crowd rushers. But humans learned a long time ago that the best attacks don't look like attacks until it's too late. Social engineering, exploiting trust, creating chaos as a distraction." He shrugged. "Your people are warriors, mine are survivors. We think differently about danger." Kyra found herself reassessing the human. "And what would you do differently?" "I'd add random pattern breaks to your route, change timing at the last second, keep potential threats guessing. I'd have plainclothes agents in the crowd looking for behavioral anomalies, not just weapons. And I'd stay close to you the whole time, because the best security system in the world doesn't matter if the principal is more than 2 steps away when something goes wrong. The princess has 15 dedicated guards, Velthar said. Surely one human's proximity is less important than. 15 guards have 15 different reaction times and 15 different protocols to follow, Marcus interrupted. In a crisis, seconds matter. I'm not saying they're not good at their jobs. I'm saying I'm good at mine. Something in his tone made Kara pause. It wasn't arrogance exactly, more like absolute certainty born from experience. You've done this before. Protected royalty? No. Kept people alive in hostile situations? Yeah. Tell me. Marcus hesitated, then seemed to decide she deserved honesty. Before I went private sector, I did close protection for diplomatic personnel in active war zones. 3 years on Proxima Station during the contested period when every faction was trying to assassinate anyone who might broker peace. Lost one principal in all that time, and that was because she deliberately ignored protocol to save a child caught in crossfire. His expression darkened. She knew what she was doing, made her choice. The training yard was quiet. Even Velthar looked thoughtful. Tomorrow, Marcus continued, you'll be surrounded by people who have sworn to die for you. And they mean it. I've seen them train, but my job isn't to die for you, Your Highness. It's to make sure you don't need anyone to die for you in the first place. The Festival of Lights was everything Kara both loved and dreaded about public appearances. The capital square glowed with thousands of luminescent flowers that bloomed only once a year, their petals releasing soft light that painted the crowd in shades of blue and silver. Music filled the air, children laughed, and her people celebrated with the kind of joy that made royal duties feel meaningful. It was also a security nightmare. Kara moved through the festival with her entourage, blessing the harvest, lighting the ceremonial flames, greeting citizens. Her 15 guards maintained their positions flawlessly, creating a moving perimeter that looked ceremonial but was tactically sound. And Marcus stayed exactly 2 steps behind her left shoulder. Always. At first, it annoyed her. The Azurian guards were subtle, blending their protection into the pageantry. Marcus, dressed in plain clothes but clearly alert, disrupted the aesthetic. But as the hours passed, Kara began to notice something. He never stopped moving his eyes. While the other guards watched their assigned sectors, Marcus watched everything. The crowd's rhythm, the flow of movement, faces, and body language, and 100 tiny details. Twice she saw him tense slightly, only to relax when whatever he'd noticed turned out to be harmless. "You're exhausting to watch," she murmured during a brief pause in the schedule. "Ma'am, you never rest, even now when there's no apparent threat. She gestured vaguely at his constant vigilance. "Threats don't announce themselves, Your Highness. They hide in the normal until they're ready to strike." He nodded toward a family with young children. "See them? Father's carrying a backpack, probably just snacks and toys, but I memorized what it looked like 20 minutes ago. If it suddenly got heavier or lighter, I'd notice." "That's paranoid. That's thorough." He smiled slightly. "And it's why you're still here to call me paranoid." The attack came an hour later. Kara was lighting the grand flame, the festival's climax, when Marcus suddenly gripped her arm and yanked her backward. She stumbled, shocked and indignant as something whistled through the space where her head had been a second before. Then the world exploded into chaos. The royal sentinels reacted instantly, shields deploying, weapons drawing, forming a protective barrier around her. But Marcus was already moving, pulling her low and close as he scanned the surrounding buildings. "Sniper Northwest Tower," he said into his comm with preternatural calm. "Missed shot, they'll relocate. Velthar, get her to the armored transport now." "Negative," the captain's voice crackled back. "We secure the area first. There's no time." Marcus was already pulling Kara through the scattering crowd. "This wasn't a lone gunman. First shot was meant to pin us down while they set up the real attack. Move." As if to punctuate his words, explosions rocked the square's perimeter. Not close enough to kill, but positioned perfectly to block the main exit routes. Panic rippled through the crowd as thousands of people tried to flee simultaneously. Kara's mind reeled. This was her city, her people, her festival. How had this happened? "Stay with me," Marcus said, his voice cutting through her shock. "Match my pace, trust my movements. Can you do that?" She nodded, unable to speak. They moved through the chaos like ghosts. Where the royal sentinels fought to maintain formation, Marcus adapted constantly, ducking through gaps in the crowd, changing direction without warning, always keeping his body between Kara and potential threats. He held a small pistol now, she noticed, though he hadn't fired it. "Contact left," one of the guards reported. "Armed assailants moving to intercept." "Don't engage," Marcus ordered. "They want you to. It's a distraction. Keep the princess moving." "You don't command the royal sentinels," Velthar snapped, though he sounded uncertain. "Right now, I command anyone who wants to keep her alive. You can file a complaint later." A figure emerged from the crowd ahead, male Azurian, holding something that gleamed with deadly purpose. Two of the sentinels moved to intercept, but Marcus was faster. He shifted Kara behind him in one smooth motion, his gun coming up. "Weapon down," he said clearly. "Last chance." The assassin sneered and raised his device. Marcus fired once precisely, and the man dropped. The device clattered to the ground, a plasma grenade. Kara realized with horror. If it had detonated. "Keep moving," Marcus said, already guiding her around the body. They reached the transport 3 minutes later, though it felt like hours. The moment Kara was inside, Marcus turned back toward the square. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Making sure no one followed us." "Stay in the vehicle, it's armored. You're not going back out there." He looked at her, and something in his expression softened slightly. "Your Highness, there are still civilians in that square. You're civilians, if I can help evacuate them." "That's not your job." "Maybe not, but it's the right thing to do." He nodded to Velthar, who'd stayed with the transport. "Captain, she's your responsibility now. Don't let her leave this vehicle, no matter what she orders." Then he was gone, disappearing back into the chaos before Kara could protest further. The attack had been sophisticated, 6 assassins working in coordination with local accomplices who'd sabotaged the security systems and planted the explosives. By the time the Royal Sentinels neutralized the threat, 4 guards were injured, 17 civilians had minor wounds, and 1 assassin had been captured alive. 0 fatalities. Marcus had personally evacuated 43 civilians, located 2 of the assassins, and disarmed a secondary explosive device that would have brought down an entire building. When he finally returned to the palace 12 hours later, exhausted and sporting a badly bruised shoulder from tackling someone clear of falling debris, Kara was waiting with her mother in the Queen's private chambers. "Lieutenant Drake," Queen Shuravel said formally, "please sit. You look ready to collapse." "I'm fine, Your Majesty." But he sat anyway, wincing slightly. "You saved my daughter's life today." just doing my job." "You did significantly more than that," the Queen continued. "Captain Velthar informed me that you identified the attack pattern, coordinated the evacuation, and then returned to a combat zone to help civilians. The Royal Sentinels are trained warriors, yet you consistently outperformed them in crisis decision-making." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "With respect, Your Majesty, they're excellent soldiers, but soldiers trained to fight threats. I was trained to prevent threats from reaching the principal in the first place, different skill sets." Kara had been silent until now, but she couldn't stay quiet any longer. "You knew," she said quietly. "Before the first shot was fired, you knew something was wrong. I felt you tense seconds before you pulled me away." "How?" "Behavioral analysis." The crowd rhythm changed, people moving against the general flow, small clustering patterns that suggested coordination. It wasn't conscious thought, just pattern recognition from experience. "But how could you possibly?" Kara stopped, understanding dawning. "That's what you meant about humans being survivors. You don't just prepare for known threats, you watch for the unknown ones." "We have to. Humans didn't get to the galactic stage by being the strongest or fastest. We got here by being paranoid enough to survive situations that should have killed us." Queen Shuravel studied the human for a long moment, then asked a question that seemed to come from nowhere. "Lieutenant Drake, who guards you most?" Marcus blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Ma'am, you guard my daughter. The Royal Sentinels guard our family and the palace, but who guards you, who keeps you safe?" No one, Your Majesty." "I don't need. Everyone needs protection sometimes," the Queen interrupted gently. "Yet you spend every moment focused on others' safety. Don't you get tired, afraid?" Marcus was quiet for several heartbeats. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Kara had ever heard it. "Fear is part of the job. You don't eliminate it. You just learn to function through it. As for who guards me..." He paused, seeming to consider his words carefully. "My training guards me, my experience, my awareness. But mostly, the people I'm protecting guard me." "I don't understand," Kara said. He looked at her directly. "Your Highness, why do you think I stayed so close to you all day? Why I positioned myself between you and every potential threat? Because that's your job. Partly. But also because the safest place in any combat situation is directly behind the person everyone is trying not to shoot. You guarded me by being someone worth protecting. The assassins couldn't risk hitting you to get to me, which meant staying close to you was tactically sound for both of us." The answer was so unexpected, so completely contrary to the romantic notions of selfless bodyguards that Kara just stared at him. Then the full implication hit her and shock gave way to something else entirely. "You used me as a shield?" "No," Marcus said firmly. "I used your value as a strategic asset. There's a difference. A shield is passive protection. What I did was create a tactical situation where harming me meant risking harming you, which made harming me unacceptable to the enemy. Simultaneously, it kept you safer because I could respond to threats faster from that position." Kara struggled for words. "That's the most coldly practical thing I've ever heard. It's survival logic. Emotion doesn't keep people alive in a crisis. Adaptability does." Queen Shuravel laughed, actually laughed, startling them both. "Oh, this is perfect. Kara, do you understand what he's telling you? That he's using tactical logic rather than heroic sacrifice?" Kara was still processing, her worldview shifting uncomfortably. "That he trusts you," her mother corrected. "Every royal sentinel is trained to die for you if necessary. They view you as someone to be protected at all costs, even their own lives. It's noble, but it also places you on a pedestal, something precious and fragile. Lieutenant Drake treats you as a partner in your own protection, someone whose safety directly contributes to his, creating mutual investment in survival. Marcus looked mildly uncomfortable with this analysis but didn't contradict it. "You don't want to die for me," Kara said slowly. "Absolutely not. No offense, Your Highness, but dying would mean I failed to keep you safe, which would defeat the entire purpose of my job. I want both of us to survive every situation we face." But the Royal Sentinels are willing to sacrifice themselves because they see protecting you as more important than their own lives, Marcus finished. "It's honorable, admirable even, but it's also tactically limiting. A dead guard is useless. A live guard can keep protecting you for years." Kyra felt something fundamental shifting in her understanding. All her life, she'd been surrounded by people willing to die for her. She'd thought that was the ultimate loyalty, the highest form of devotion. But Marcus was offering something different, not the promise of a glorious death, but the intention of a continued life, both of their lives. "I asked you who guards you most," Queen Shuravel said to Marcus. "You said the person you're protecting guards you by being worth protecting, but there's more to it than tactical advantage, isn't there?" Marcus hesitated, then nodded slowly. "When you're responsible for someone's life, you can't afford the luxury of recklessness. I stay sharp because she needs me sharp. I stay alive because if I die, she might die too. In a way, yes, knowing that someone depends on me keeps me more careful than I might be for my own sake alone. And that," the Queen said with satisfaction, "is why I hired you instead of another Azurian warrior. My guards would die for Kara. You'll live for her, which means you'll think differently, act differently, and perhaps most importantly, teach her to think differently about her own protection." Kara stared at her mother. "You planned this." "I hoped for it. The Royal Sentinels are superb at what they do, but you've never learned to think of your own safety as something you participate in. You've been a passive element in your protection, something to be guarded, shielded, preserved. Lieutenant Drake forces you to be an active participant. By using me as a tactical asset," Kyra said dryly. "By treating you as a person capable of contributing to your own survival," Marcus corrected. "During the evacuation, you matched my pace perfectly, didn't question my directions even when they seemed strange, and stayed calm in a situation that would have paralyzed most people. That's not passive protection, that's partnership." The word hung in the air between them, partnership. Not subject and guardian, not royalty and servant, but two people working together toward the same goal. "I've spent my entire life with guards who would die for me," Kara said softly. "I never realized how lonely that was until today when you made it clear you had no intention of dying at all." Marcus smiled, a real smile this time, not the professional expression he usually wore. "Good, because I have a lot more work to do keeping you safe, and dying would really interfere with my schedule." Despite everything, the attack, the fear, the revelation, Kara laughed. Queen Shuravel stood. "Lieutenant Drake, you'll be given command of the princess's personal security detail, reporting directly to me. Captain Velthar will maintain responsibility for the broader Royal Sentinels, but in matters concerning Kara's immediate safety, your word is final. The captain has already agreed to this arrangement." "Your Majesty, I don't want to undermine." "You're not undermining anything. You're providing a perspective we lack. The Royal Sentinels will learn from you, and you'll learn from them." Between Azurian strength and human adaptability, my daughter will be the most well-protected royal in the galaxy. She smiled. Besides, Velthar was quite impressed with your performance today, even if he'd rather eat glass than admit it directly. Marcus stood and bowed. I'm honored, Your Majesty. I'll do everything I can to justify your trust. See that you do. Now go get some rest. You look half dead. Just half, Marcus grinned. I must be improving. After he left, Kyra sat with her mother in comfortable silence for several minutes. You really did plan this, she said finally. I plan to hire a competent human bodyguard who might bring fresh perspective to your security, Queen Shuravel corrected. That he turned out to be exceptional was fortunate. That he made you question your assumptions about protection and loyalty was hoped for. Why? Her mother's expression grew serious. Because someday you'll be Queen, Kara. And when that day comes, you'll need to understand that loyalty isn't just about people willing to die for you. It's about people willing to live for you, to stay sharp, stay vigilant, stay alive because you need them. Lieutenant Drake understands that. Now so do you. Kara thought about Marcus's words, that the person he protected guarded him by being worth protecting, that their survival was interlinked, that the best protection came from partnership rather than sacrifice. Mother? Yes. Who guards you most? Queen Shuravel's smile was soft and sad. Your father did when he was alive. He taught me the same lesson you learned today, that the people we protect give us reason to keep ourselves safe. Now, she gestured to the palace around them. My people guard me, you guard me. Even Lieutenant Drake guards me by guarding what I love most. She touched Kyra's cheek gently. We all guard each other, Starlight. That's how it should be. That night, as Kara lay in her chambers with new appreciation for the guards stationed outside, and the human who'd chosen living over dying to keep her safe, she finally understood what her mother had been trying to teach her. Protection wasn't about grand sacrifices or glorious deaths. It was about two people deciding that both their lives mattered, and choosing to fight like hell to make sure they both survived to see another day. And somehow, that was more comforting than 1,000 warriors willing to die in her name.